Ole veina chuan class 10 zirlai and literature zirlai in literature zirlai ami lesson 3 the paper plaque ti ziak iro 12 nena ziak kha kanzirin kan chiar hole don ani in le khabute kha loke le ula I uluk dewin milong I thak sakro o kan chiar tanang. The discovery of paper-made recording of facts, storing information, posting of one's creative ideas or sending messages, much simpler. Paper is used in many spheres of life and is one of the most essential commodities today. Imagine what would happen if paper suddenly disappeared from this world. Kami kam keuna tong kamakhan. He paper kan share tirok lekha he tuna depo zirlai chuan paper engkim paper lekhabu lekha tanga siam lekhabu te kan mang tangkai memaya thilchin ta chanchin chin chhia nan te thupoi mo da thatnan te thuthar le ngai dan kan han zia na tan te ke mani thiam thil kan han zia chho na tan te le ni khatianga thil thun na tan te khan kan mang thina paper hi tangkai memaya ni tina kan khosak na tan han paper hian hun poimo taka changani paper hi omlo ta seng in ngai to ve chin ngai paper hi om talo seng engtinge kan omang le he khovela hen engtinge kan khosakang le ti khan ajak tu hian thu aron zia kani ya ti chuan thu zia athon thu chu kan char tanang as time recedes it becomes increasingly difficult to believe that we really did live through it hun liam zel hian kan hun lo man tak te kha engtinge mo kan lo pal tlang the mai le ti te han ngai to khan rin kha har sa thina ni kan thil ton to te mo hun he local ve zel khang hun te kha engtinge mo kan lo ton the le kan lo pal tlang the le ti te kha rin mai kha har sa thina ni tuna hian chuanin mumang ang takin mumang thalo bad dream ang hian alaron lang riaya the details of which one cannot recapture exactly ma seng chiang tak a details a khacho tu ma khanan ngai han ngai to let te kha har sa to a tu ma khana ti thei to lova ma say yet there are pictures and fragments that I see it vivid detail whenever I think of that night, the night when it began. Masay khazan zit khachu kathin lunga hian chiang takmain alalanga khazan zan khat khazan zit khachu chiang takmain kathin lunga hian alaron lang ringani hatita enge athin lunga sha ringa the ingil the lo chu kan chiar tanang I was very tired after several long work days and was on the late night train in a drizzle of autumn rain. It was past midnight when I got off and started to walk homewards down the long harbour road. The fog from the sea carried a strange, cloying smell. The faces of employees at the newspaper office appeared blurred, pale and ghostly in the artificial light. The shouts seemed to carry some excitement, but I didn't bother to stop and ask if there was any special news. I would read it in the morning newspaper anyway. I wanted only and most urgently to reach my room and bed. Ziak tu pa khan ka chaw le maya hun re tak ni re tak rim taka na thowang khan ka chaw le maya on the late night train in a drizzle of autumn rain atia rela autumn favang zanlaya favang ruasur cher kara khan rela khan chuang ani chaw me na kha thok na sani na several long work days atia rim takin cha na kha tho nu khan rela khan chaw tak main ruasur cher kara khan chuanga it was past midnight zanlai pel to ni when I got off and started to walk homewards down the long harbour road tia kha rel tanga chwa a in lampana kala harbour road ti longchol na kama konga akal lai khan dar som pani zanlai dar som pati mo zanlai kha apel to a ti chuan tiao chhum te kha lui pui kam tuipui tanga tiao chhum te khan rim engeni danglam dangdai deuh mai kha ron keng tel thina tin newspaper office a thokte na thok ho te kha an mel te po kha chiang lo roi mai khan engani ghostly pale and ghostly in the artificial light khang zan light to a kha chuanin an lang chiang to lo an phe dewa ghostly ram huai ti meang mo tharau ang deuh khan an lang to ni tharau ang mel te po khan pu to a chuan an auri te po khan enge mini phurna kha chu keng telen ria ta ma seng kha an au na chan kha enge tia zo kha katum chuang lawa nak tu ka I morning a newspaper aron chuak le me don lam chan chin bo kan aron chuak le me don lom ti in ka du ber chu tuna hian ruma ka room nge ya ka khuma thlen kha ka ngak le le me a chaw to me mamu tha dam kha a thal le la ni a ngak le ani mo ti chuan the smell indeed was so pungent as I opened the front door of my house that I vaguely wondered if something somewhere was burning. But as soon as I shut the front door of my flat, I just took off my shoes and dropped down, almost fully dressed on the bed, and immediately fell into solid sleep. Ti chuan kharim na takha la ria ni mo a ho ko nga po kha na ria a room kong ka front door an hon po kha na rim kha la ria ni engi moni kang rim deuh kha moni kha ti hialak thilak akang aniang a kha ti hial maya ma seng a room kong ka an khar chia khan a chaw lu tuk to kan ti kha a phe ko kha phel sok soka a korpo phel thathum manglo khan phe ko ka phelin a khuma khan rang takin tui takha na muhil ngal tamai ani I woke with the uneasy feeling that I had overslept. Ti chuan tu ka chuanin tho kha haita overslept mo tho hai ne in sia khan rilunwam lo tak mai khan an tho ta ni as I sat yawning and groping for my shoes khuma khan ka thua ka ham bui ka phe khok chu kan dapa I became abruptly aware of something ghost-like in the room. Karuma khan inge mon mintinu am lo tu mo ramwai lampang deuh thil emo ghost-like mo khateng angchi mintinu am lo tu kha tlat shiat na kha kaneya my sleepiness having dropped away sharply I looked carefully around ka mutchuak te po kha ti re vek me ni omnum lo na kha ma khan mo uneasiness khami omnum lo na kha ne ta a mutchuak khatiang ang tho phang deuh te po kha ti re vek meya ti chuang kan han en kwala the first thing I saw was a layer of grey dust covering the floor the walls were spattered with the dust in broad brown stripes an hoi kwal vel tani chiang mang lo khan jana khana hong ati ro am hil ngal deuh me chaw lu tukha chon jing a tho khan nuam cham le ngani thil tlata hriat ama khan engani omnum lo na kha ne ni tinuam lo tu kha ne an hoi chiang kha chu a chhuwa ta khan engani layer of grey dust vut in tiang cha em thil kal vut kan ti chuan he kang bang thil hal na vut khamo khami kha chhuat a khan alo nur tamaya bang tela chu khatiang khan vut kai de unoi me khan a room bang te kha lo ta ni the bookshelves where were my books kale khabu bom te khoi engtin nge an ta khonge kale khabu te I jumped to my feet and ran across the room ti chuan man mo tak chang kan tholu pa ti chuan room ti chuan kan klan kwal vela a thick light dust covered the shelves at my first touch this dust began to drift away disclosing the limp leather covers decorated with the original gold letters and some strips of material that had bound cardboard covers ti chuan an athil ni zong le kha tanga paper te le khabu zong te kha vutan lo chang vek te kha muta a thil khoi apiang me kha vut vek kha lo ni to a khoi an kyang dua ka enge ni kang ve theilo entianan ni leather siam le khabu kom te tin a cover tu te ang chau kang ve theilo le kha ni lo ang chau te kha a lo chuang to ani khang le khabu ka ra khan ti chuan Dazed, I sat down and immediately became aware of the sickly sweet smell. Ti chuan maktite mai khan an thua rim kha shile to ni rim kha tir pon sia kha ho ko nga po sia a room a gate hon pon sia a ma seng tuna po khan rim kha a shile ta ni an che chuak le ta sickly sweet smell mo my entire beautiful library had turned to dust. A library chung pum a library a beautiful library a library moi tak mai le kha buina arem kha mai chinaka tuna chuan mei vapa alo chang tap fek mai ni so had the papers on my writing desk tin a lekha buzia na do kana paper zong po chu mei vapa alo chang ta instinctively my hand went to my inside pocket. The wallet was there, but all the paper it had contained had changed to a pinch of dust. My salary in currency notes had vanished along with some precious personal papers. Tichuan ka paketa ka kutin ka paket chu kang ka ipte chu kan zena ka wallet ka poisa da na bom ka poisa da na bag wallet chu kan dapa ka wallet chu lo om reng maya om abo lo mo ma seng a chunga om zong lekha a siam thil om zong ka poisa te a hlo a poisa te le tin a poimo zong some precious personal papers a lekha poimo ang chi zong kha da sa lo chang vekani mo a wallet ka savun amo anianga kha chu chelova amaro chu chunga poisa te le lekha poimo zong kha alo da sa lo chang vek to ani in the street I heard confused shouting and then one distinct hysterical cry the end of the world has come. For a moment I lost my mind. I shaved hurriedly and dressed and went down to the street. Around me frightened faces repeated the question, what's happened? What does this mean? Is this bacteria war? Tichuan kot khlera khan mo om na bul kot khlera khan confused shouting mimang ang aw tua ri te kha mang ang taka auri lau thong auri te kha ka sheta a I khovel top na chu lo thleng ta ti khan an aw ni khovel top ta khovel top na ni chu lo thleng ta ti khan mi pui aw kha ko thlera khan a sheta a I angai tu an kha chumul zo vek mai ne jak tu po khamo I relo te chung ka chu abing meya. For a moment, I lost my mind mo. Tichuan ka in ziat fire, ka in khaka, chuan street chuan ka chuk khavea. Mimang ang tak mel frightened faces mo. Khatiang khan zo na pa ngai kha anin zot fik me enge thleng ta a. Eng thil nge thleng ta eng ti na nge hi bacteria in do na emni ti kha kanin zo vekania. Though these questions went without answers. Masik hazo na katunge chang turo namlo a chang chan lovin omzel in chang thei tur kha angai nak sia khatuman omlo mo all anyone knew was that in the early hours of the morning all paper had suddenly crumbled into grey dust and at the same time that revolting smell had begun. Fear of what might ensue worried people even more than the disappearance of paper. An siat chian ve berero khachu engge chan khan chelo an siat thun ero khachu tukin zing khovar chan tira khan paper zong kha grey dust vut maya khan alo changta a tin chu ti rwal chuan rim na tak aron in siamani kha paper kang khan rim na tak siamin an khovel kha tuam ta ani kha khamin an siat zong chu nia tin kha paper bo ai ma khan enge lo thleng le tur eng thil nge lo thleng le ang ti kha I paper lo ral ina ati boina ai ma khan enge lo thleng le don ti lo thon na khan ne ni kha khami pui te kha ti chi aya ti mang angzo kani restless crowd gathered around shop's door. Tichuan mi pui chi ai omngai na shelo mang ang phili boy roi mai te kha dor tin mai kong ka khan an ding thup maya amara chu kan shata kang khan paper money paper siam le poisa kha chu acceptable money had been reduced abruptly to metal coins and this quickly ran out. Paper money zong kha chu chevek to le khamanga enge niang poisa le khamanga siam kha chu thir manga siam poisa chau kha lo mani mo chuwang chuanin anne dora khan mi kha kongka khanan dinga mo dor kongka khan mi pui tam tak me mi pui chi ai khan dinga poisa ni tak lo wang khan metal coins lama thir manga siam coins sowa khanin an the ang khanan manga ma se khang po kha an mang zo le me ani an nei khan nei tlem mo azwar tu te kha chuan coins kha an nei ta rum maya ma se alei tu tur ten eng ma kha an nei ta lovani chutianga paper money paper le khamanga paper tangkai na mun la ya chuan chutiang ang paper pan tur omlo poisa paper manga siam poisa man tur omlo chu thilmak takani mo. Milk shops were crowded with mothers determined to get milk to feed their babies. Bong te door, mo bong te door teng te ka nu ho, nu fanei ho. Kami in karkanan katani an fa te bong nu te tur leitur kan nu ho indoor ka anti kat vik maya crowded with mothers mo andor ka ang kat Noi many. Then in the grocery store, candies and fruits in the wooden boxes were smothered by the grey dust of their fancy paper wrapping. Coffee beans, macaroni, sugar, rusks, all such merchandise was covered with the grey dust of the disintegrated paper wrappings. Only glass and metal containers stood in neat rows in contrast to the grey dust, confusion of the other shelves. This phenomenon was more pronounced at the bookshops, where only some glue bottles and plastic articles peeped from under the thick layers of grey dust. Kan siata kang kan le khathil mang zong te khachu kang ralvek mai sia chuwang chuan grocery dora po khan echop dor ang chi ate po khan candies le fruit thil sweet le thei te khachu wooden box da kha I achunga mi khachu amama se atwam tu wooden box ni kha das khan atwam ve thau ta ni mo vuta an changa aptuam tu te khan vutnen khan an ma ni a thei e tur te su te kha chu kha vutnen khan in chi apia ta nuai meya tin thil che sang e tur te sang kha coffee beans macaroni sugar te ang chi te khang zong an sum chang tura an zor ang chi khang zong kha vutina khu lek luk tamaya mo amar chu glass dark khalang chi le metal thir ang chi khatiang ang chau kha ngil tak mai khan engma boina nei lo khan ala omani khang chhuara te khan kha thil tin bookshop sa khan bookshop sa chuan books an ni wang khalak kang chefekama seng chungkara kang vut jinga chuan glue bottles le plastic articles ho mo glue bottles tele glue ngani thil char na man ruan yang chu glue bottles le plastic mga siam thil ho chau te ka khang vut kara khan an ronda kira hatiani anam ve peu ni kang ve lo ho kha mo people were distraught. A plump bespectacled man people were distraught. A plump bespectacled man beside me said, "The work of 30 years vanished overnight. There's nothing left of my records except book covers and cover clasp." Tichuan ipui chu an phi hlia an buai ani mo an a om ani phi hli po kha mak don ani mak ti tur sim po kha mi pui kha mai an chhuat ka ring ani ti tur nei lem lo po kha mo mak maya tichuan pathau de upakhatar mitwa kabulami hian kumsom thum ka tho rim ra chu zan khata aral tamai ani eng mak record ta hian ka record buka hian eng mak nei talo ve record turin eng mak nei talo akom achil na le akom chaum ta ti in lungai takhan kabulami chuan soya ti chuan pakhat phei ka chuan I thought I'd gone mad. My book just curled up in flameless heat and collapsed in ash. Tin pakhat po khan ka adon ta mo ka ti hial ani ka le kha bu zong te enge ni mei almia silo wakatiang voile khata ron vai vuta ron chang tavik mei kha ka aduni mukati hialalom ati ya the government won't do anything. How can the machinery turn without paper? Government po khan engma ti the khan nei lowani achan chu khol te kha paper ti lo chon engtinge a kal thei bi kang mo what are we going to do with the children no pang te po hi engtinge kan ti ta kang the school can't work without books and paper school a ti ringot don se school a khan ti tur zia na tur pon nei don si lowa chiar tur pon nei don si lowa chuwang chuan school po kha function thei don lowani no pang the school kal na tur po kha ni tur ang kha ni thei don lova tin the water and electricity services were still operating tuile electric lam service ro khachu ala akal ngai na lakal theiringa tin the radio lampang thupuan lampang te po kha akal ngai chon lakal reng theya the announcement urged everybody to remain calm. Steady nerves will help you and all of us. Our country is not alone in this misfortune. The whole world is struggling with the same difficulties. Routine emergency announcements were being made. Announcement katupuan ka omreng maya mi puite kha chi ai lo kan chuan engkim ma thavekang he kan tuar hi he kan chunga thleng hi kan ke mani chau kan ram chau hi tuar tu kan nilawa khovel ram pum pui hian he kan tor ang hi he an thil ton ang hi kan tuar vi kan ti kha an tong vi kan ti kha an puang dum maya akhat to khan engani involved in natur ang chi thu te kha an puang dum reng mai ni. All main supply services, including food, had been taken over by the government. Or till supply lam chi ang chi reng kha food thlengin e tur thleng khan sarkar khan akuta alata fik maya. All leave for the armed and police forces was cancelled. Police le khatyang arm le police lampang force I chol la te hopo kha an Zomtir le loma rail and road services were indefinitely suspended. Tin rail azinte motor konga kong a zinchi angchi motor tlante angchi mo khate angchia kalte poka and cancel vekani and suspend vekani. Stocks of precious metals had been requisitioned and the mint was working round the clock producing new metal coins. Thir lam kha kan ve miao lo wang kan khami thir lam che khom na kha I an twai thar le ta ni thir lama ti in che khol kha an war le ta a ti chuan khami cher tu khol khan in metal coin mo poisa thir kha cher chuak le tur khan thei patop khan mo mint was working round the clock Zan khwa me khan a the patop khan new coins metal coins kha a cher chuak le thin ta ani ole kha tum khata kan zir zo vek the don lova khami thleng kha tu na tan chuan kan du to kanga next episode ta khang kan share bak kha kan share le don ne o